Peace and risings to you all, my beautiful people, and welcome back to yet another video. For those of you who are new there, hello, my name is Nicole. I like to come on here once a week and just share whatever messages of guidance that are helpful for the collective at this time. So in the past few weeks, I have been talking a lot about the darkness, as I feel that it is very, very important for people to comprehend what is actually taking place at this time. And if by now people don't understand that what is happening is spiritual more than it is physical, because we have to remember life is spiritual, and what controls everything that we see, everything that is connected to this material world is based on the non-physical world. And when we realize that the only way to really change and shift whatever is happening in the 3D physical reality is to shift things in the spiritual realms, people will understand that these changes, or the spiritual war that we are essentially going through, will become easier. Humanity is going through a major period of transition where we are remembering that it is not just our physical body that governs this reality, but that our physical body is actually governed by our spiritual body. And so by now, I hope that for those of you who are listening are at least starting to look into developing a spiritual practice and working to open your first eye. As you know, nowadays I just find myself having difficulty believing it when people say, or let's just say when people are engaging with the world and thinking that things are just going on as usual, then I just want to say you're living under a rock. Because by this point, if people are not realizing that something is seriously, seriously wrong and life is most certainly not going on as usual, then there is some work for you to do. And essentially, we are going through major changes, and these changes are happening on so many different levels. There are changes that are happening on a collective level. There are changes that are happening on an individual level. And essentially, many of us have been doing our shadow work. And what exactly is shadow work? Shadow work is having the ability to look inwards at the parts of ourselves that we do not necessarily want to look at. Because we all have faults. That is just part of being a human. We all have traits that we don't like, and a lot of the time these traits about ourselves that we don't want to look at or we are embarrassed about, a lot of the time these traits were developed as coping mechanisms for some kind of traumatic experience that we had. And so it is about honoring that we as human beings are constantly changing, we are constantly evolving, we are constantly growing. And if we are not willing to look at the parts of ourselves that are not so pretty, well, this is essentially how the world has got to where it is. Because people want to talk about there being a lot of darkness, and there is a lot of darkness. This darkness is manifesting in many, many different ways. But as I was sitting in meditation the other day and really trying to comprehend what was going on, what came through to me was the fact that this darkness that we are experiencing in the world today is because of human beings. Many people will say, oh, why has God done this to us, etc. It is not God that has done this to us. It is we that have done this to ourselves. Because we have to remember that as a human being, we are a three-part being. We are part animal, let me think about that. Yes, I guess, yes. And we are a three-part being. We are divine, we are animal, and we are human. But in that sense, we can be human more within our divine nature, or we can be human more within our animal nature. And it seems that society has come to a point where most of us are feeding our animal nature. And that is everyone's fault and no one's fault at the same time, because we have to remember that we are being programmed. The way society has been developed, and all of this has been planned. If people want to continue and believe that there are no nefarious agendas here, then I beg to differ, really, because at this point, honestly, society has been engineered to move in a certain direction. Because remember, the powers that be, the people who run this world, are not only human. They are operating on much higher spiritual knowledge that has been hidden from the rest of humanity for thousands of years. And so we have to understand that, yes, as much as we are being influenced, we have to remember, we have to disconnect from this hive mind mentality that most people seem to find themselves in. And most people have become sheep in that they just follow along with what everyone else is doing rather than question, does this make sense? Is this the right thing for me to do? People just follow and do what everyone else is doing. And the problem is that most of society has lost their morality. Most of society have turned a blind eye to what is right and wrong and just say, oh, well, because everyone else is doing it, then I'm going to do it too. But that's not right. And this is why we have found ourselves here where we are today, because at the end of the day, society is built by, society exists because many of us humans, we uphold, the best thing I can, so for example, justice. Justice can only be upheld if we, the people, uphold justice. And right now, people question, why is the world the way it is today? It is because we as human beings have allowed it to get to this point. We have believed that we just have to accept. And as these things have slowly been pushed in, many people have turned a blind eye and said, well, as long as this is not impacting me directly, then it doesn't really bother me. It doesn't really concern me. But that is the problem, because everything in society concerns every single one of us. As we are now getting to a point where literally freedom, the little freedoms that we had left are being totally taken away from us. And by some people allowing this to happen, this affects the whole world. And this is what we are seeing happening at this point. And again, I'm going to talk about it very blatantly, that what is happening right now, because, I've spoken to people in so many different countries, and it seems that the same things are playing out in every different country. And the world is a massive place. So for these things to all be happening at the same time, there is no coincidence. We have to realize that everything that is happening is being planned. Remember, we live in a globalist society. We live in a world that is governed globally. There is no individuation anymore. And so what is happening is that the new world order is well and truly here. But the only way that this new world order can be fully anchored into this reality is if we, the people, allow it to happen. And so what we are really being called to, so tomorrow is actually a full moon, and they call it a blue moon because it is the fourth full moon of the season. And so it is a full moon in the sign of Aquarius. And it's interesting because we're seeing again the same energies coming up as what was happening at the beginning of 2020 when the whole world changed. And so these energies are coming back up to the surface because, Aquarius is really an energy of change. And Aquarius is all about using the higher mind to bring about changes that not only affect the individual, but changes that will affect the collective beneficially on a grander scale. And Uranus is the planet that governs Aquarius. And Uranus is the planet of major change. And so what is happening right now at this moment with this full moon is that we are all the moon is highlighting to us that we are in a period where great change is needed. And this change, for the change to happen on a collective level, this change needs to happen individually first. Because it is all the individuals on this planet that have created what is happening today. Because we all have a role to play. We have all taken part in it because we often forget that it is every single minute decision and choice that we are making that affects the reality in which we live. And so we all have to take a good hard look at our lives right now and question, are we moving in the direction that we want to be moving in? Because I think collectively, we are most certainly not moving in the direction that we need to be moving in. Because Aquarius also governs technology. And we are at a point where there is a lot of discussions about AI. And these conversations are being had, but not on a grander scale, because people don't realize that with AI being pushed, and I don't know whether it's going to be pushed in all the way, but when I see what is being pushed, and when I've listened to a whole bunch of videos and documentaries about what the people in Silicon Valley are doing, we have to remember that these are just human beings. And as human beings, we have the capability to do horrendous and destructive things. And we have to really start questioning through morality, are we heading in the right direction? Because most people don't realize that, yes, AI can benefit us. But already with all the changes that have been taking place in the world at this time, many people are losing their jobs. Many people are in a state of difficulty, in a state of transition, in a state of survival, where for many people they're really going through it, and this going through it is happening in many different ways for many different people. But there are a lot of things that are coming up to the surface, and these things are coming up to the surface so that, because remember, we have the ability to decide which direction we want our lives to move in. But we then have to not be living our life in autopilot mode. We actually have to be present at the wheel and driving the car ourselves, as opposed to giving away our power and letting somebody else drive the car. And that is essentially what AI is coming in to do. By fully allowing AI to come in, we are giving away our power. Society will change in ways that we cannot go back from this. Just like in the ways the internet changed the reality of this world in such big ways that nobody would have expected, AI is going to do the same thing. And when we look at all the benefits that, the internet has brought to us, look at all the downfalls that have come as a result of the internet. Supposedly, the internet was supposed to be a tool to connect us all together. And yes, in the world, we have never been more connected. But yet we are also so disconnected, because people no longer know how to engage with each other in human ways. It is like we are losing our humanity by allowing technology to take over. And it is like people have become machines. Because it is like when you go to do, like, for example, governmental services, people will say, oh yeah, but that's not, people will hide behind the rules and say, oh yeah, but I can't do that because it's the rules. No, not that you can't, it's that you're choosing not to. Because as much as there are rules that we need to abide by in order to keep our jobs and continue having our livelihood, we can still have humanity. And we can still remember that we have the ability to help people in ways that might be so small in how we can help them, but yet we can help them, and yet we choose not to. So let us see what the cards have to say in regards to this upcoming full moon and what messages of guidance we have to share here. So the first card that came out is Progressions, Journey. And yes, we are going through a time of major progressions. Remember that we are here on a journey. Our soul chooses to incarnate at this, into the world in order to experience a certain journey. And the numerology here is 11. I'm sure many of you have been seeing the numbers 1111. 1111 essentially is a portal for spiritual awakening. So if you have been seeing these numbers, it means that you are going through a spiritual awakening. And we have to remember that there are layers of spiritual awakening. We can awaken spiritually many, many times, because what we are going through at this time is not so much that we are learning new things, but we have to unlearn all this bullshit programming that is not at all the truth of who we are. So we are going through a time of progression. We are going through a time of change. You can see that there is a clock here, and we're looking at, essentially these are planets up in the sky. And so as the planets move through the sky, these energies shift us in different ways. And so as you are going through this period of progression, of this period of this journey, you have to ask yourself, are you going in the direction that you want? Are you the one who is choosing the direction for your life, or is someone else choosing this for you? And what decisions are you making in order for you to choose the direction of your life, as opposed to where are you giving away your power for others to lead the journey of your life? Because as much as we are all part of one greater collective, we are all individual souls that came here to individually experience who we are so that we can serve the collective's greater journey. And so the more we know ourselves individually, and the more we understand why, or should I say overstand or understand why we are here, why our soul chose to incarnate at this time, then the more we can direct our journey and move in the direction that was set for us. Because the reason why so many of us are unhappy and lost and unfulfilled is because we are moving according to somebody else's beat. We are moving to the beat of somebody else's drum as opposed to taking charge of our lives and moving in the direction that we choose. So now is a time to question, what direction is your heart going in? What direction is your life going in? And is this the direction that you want for yourself? The next card we have is partnerships with the asteroid Juno, and the numerology here is 4. 4 is all about stability. And one of the ways in which we get stability is through partnerships. And so at this time, you are being asked, and interestingly enough, with the full moon in Aquarius, and Aquarius is also dominated by the 7th house, the 7th house being the house of partnerships. No, sorry, that's wrong. That's my chart. That's actually Libra that governs the 7th house. But when I was reading more about this full moon and the energies that were present, a lot about partnerships came up. So I actually just want to read the book here a little bit to see what it says about this asteroid Juno. So it says, the asteroid Juno points out how you may have been trained to choose between love and work, and offers clues on how to balance them instead. Yes, coming back to this progressions card. How many of us choose, we're told that we can't do what we love, but yet, there's a famous saying that says, do what you love and you will never work a day in your life. And so we came here to follow the call of our heart, because our heart is what is connected deeply to our soul. As we are moving more towards divine feminine energy and the rise of feminine energy, it is more about being in the heart rather than it being in the mind, which is a more masculine principle. So you are being asked, why do you have to choose between work and love? Why can't love become your work? So the asteroid was named after the daughter of Saturn, wife of Jupiter, mother of Mars. She is queen, the organizer of society, and she rules the roost. Juno and Jupiter modeled an uneasy but equal partnership that took a lot of work and had great rewards. So yes, what partnerships are you forging to work towards the direction that you wish for yourself? So in work and love, Juno wants you to trust that you can hold steady on your life's path and develop equal partnerships. So get in there and wrestle to make the relationship work. Research healthy relationship skills and study negotiation and mediation techniques. Yes, because all relationships take work. And what's coming to me a lot, because, 4 is also related to family in astrology. And so we have to look at, family as the partnerships that we were gifted. But most people seem, the family is also another sort of obstacle to get through, because family can be very powerful, but a lot of us have, a lot of the shadow aspects that we have are related to family. And so we have to start looking where within our family can we be building relationships that are going to help us move forward as opposed to hinder us on our journey. So practice respect, communication, love, and conflict resolution between the various facets of your own personality. Like Juno and Jupiter, strive to become two whole empowered souls who can express their individual potential, work around each other's foibles, and find balance. Be responsible for your own connection to the creative source, spirit, and your emotions. Don't ask another to carry your heart for you, as it makes it hard to accept their unique path. Yes, only you know what works best for you. Trust that and do whatever is in your power to make that reality, because that is what will bring you the most joy possible. So live out your ambition through your own work rather than through your mates, children, employees, or co-workers. If you do so, you can encourage others' growth and exploration along with your own. And so create the foundations of great relationships and a sense of community. Yes, community is so important at this time. We all really need to build community. The reason why so many people are unhappy and lost is because community, just doesn't really exist today anymore. If you don't, you can devolve into jealousy or create monsters. How many people are in relationships where there's so much jealousy within their friends, within their family? How much here at the coast, in Kenya, people use so much black magic. And, you know, having been living down here for a while now, I've come face to face with it and I totally comprehend it. And it is crazy how the most amount of black magic I see happening here is family members cursing family members out of jealousy and envy. When will this stop? And especially for those people on the African continent, you forget how much spiritual power you hold just within the words that you speak, just within the thoughts that you hold. And we don't realize that our thoughts alone have the ability to curse people. And again, you know, I will repeat that a few years ago, I received the message from Spirit about Africa rising and that we were going to see the rising of Africa. And this is what we're seeing happening now. But we also have to realize that the way that we can grow as a continent is to have more community within the African nation. We need to learn to support each other more so. You know, when I look at everywhere I have traveled, you have a Chinatown, you have an India town, and this is because people support one another in these nations. When will we learn to support one another as well? If the whole African continent decided to support one another, if all melanated people decided to support one another the way other beings support one another, we would not be where we are today. And yes, I know that this is a result of trauma, but we've all had trauma, and we have to get out of this victim mentality and stop saying, poor me, and start doing something about it, because many people have been able to get themselves out of trauma and make something with their lives. We have to stop making excuses for ourselves and for one another, and we have to start changing. You know, Einstein said, the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again and repeating different results. Is that not what we're doing? We're all wanting change, yet none of us want to be the ones to actually make the changes. So if you want to be in a partnership but you are not, examine any belief or training that said you have to give up what matters to you in order to partner up. If it's your choice to work alone, accept it. If not, expand that view and invite fresh possibilities. Yes, no one says that you have to give up what you desire in order to work in partnership. This is where compromise comes in. But most people have become so selfish and so self-serving that they only want to do what works for them as opposed to doing what works for the collective. And we get further together as getting, you know, we will go so much further and we will get there so much faster if we move as a collective as opposed to trying to move as an individual. Interesting, the next card we have with the numerology 6, 6 being the number of love and harmony, we have alliance. Yes, we are being asked to create alliances at this time, because through these alliances, this is how we are going to get through this darkness at this time. But it's just like, as many individuals go through a dark night of the soul, it is like the earth is also going through the dark night of the soul. And as we go through the dark night of the soul, there is an awakening to all the things that we previously hadn't been able to see. And this is what revelations, this is what disclosure is about. We are being revealed. We are finally being shown the truth of the reality of our world. And the reality of our world is that what is governing our world is not what we have been led to believe. And so the easiest way to get through these times of hardship, to get through these times of difficulty, is by creating alliances, because we are stronger together than alone. And it is so important that we remember that, because the powers that are falling for the longest time have been using the tactics of divide and conquer. And this is why so many of us have become separate, that we think that we are each other's enemies, when the true enemy that we are fighting is the system in which we live. And so we have to start realizing that if we as humanity band together, we will be able to overcome this tyranny that we are being inflicted upon. So interesting enough, the next card we have is the Devil. And interesting, here we have another 6, because we have to remember that, you know, everything exists on a spectrum. So, for example, anger, you know, we have, for example, divine anger, divine rage, where we meet, like what is happening in Kenya today. Many of us are experiencing rage towards our government. And we can use this rage to fuel ourselves to do something about it. Not that we're going to go out there and, do all kinds of horrific things and become violent. That is not the answer. But by this rage, we are being fueled to say we will no longer accept the things that are being done to us, the things that are being inflicted upon humanity by the works of the devil. But we have to remember that the devil works through each and every one of us. Are you an altar for the devil or for God? Because this is what it means to be in spiritual warfare. We are all being used as agents of the light or agents of the darkness. But which one are you on? And you can go and watch some of my previous videos, which YouTube is not wanting to put out there because obviously I'm saying some things that I shouldn't be saying. But you can go and research for yourself through some of these previous videos. What side of this battle are you on? Because this is an energetic battle. These things are happening not within our physical bodies, but they are happening first within our minds and within our emotions. So, which side of this battle are you on? The next card we have here is the Star. So interestingly, that on one side we have the devil, and on the next side we have the Star. Which one are you? Are you operating for the devil, or did you come here to be a star and to shine your light brightly to help others as they go through this transition? Because that is essentially the role that we all came here to do. We all have a role here at this time. Some of us came here to destroy because some of us need. Just like we talk of the goddess Kali Ma, and she is shown as the destroyer because, yes, in a sense, this system needs to be destroyed so that something can come and be built on top of it. But we no longer want someone else to decide what is being built on top of this system that we are choosing to destroy. We have the choice to destroy the system because it is no longer working for us, the people. So some of us are in this destruction phase because that is what is needed. But once the destruction is over, we must be the star. We must shine light for others. We must be here to be guides. And the numerology here is an 8. Remember, we are in the year of 8. We are in the year of the dragon. This is the year of power. Where does your power reside? And the more that you become aware of what your spiritual path is, because we all came here with a certain mission. Our souls came here to experience certain things. Our souls came here to answer a certain question. The more you know who you are, they say know thyself, because when you know yourself, you cannot be controlled by other people's whims, by other people's words, by other people's manipulations in all their forms. So what are you doing that is not allowing you to be in your power? The next card we have is 10 of Inspiration. Yes, you are here to be an inspiration. So I just actually want to read through the guidebook here as to what are the key words for this card. So 10 of Inspiration. So the key words are responsibilities and burdens, taking on too much, the heaviness of promises, seeking other paths that offer help and guidance, systemizing and prioritizing, the nourishment of accepting. Yes. So the reason, what have you been taking on? What are you carrying that is not yours to carry? Because so many of us energetically, we don't realize how we pick up on other people's shit. We pick up on their stuff energetically, and then we end up thinking that this is our stuff. So this is also the importance of knowing ourselves, so that we can know our energy, so that we can know when someone is projecting their stuff onto us. We don't want to be absorbing other people's stuff. So it says the 10 of Inspiration knows she has to bring supplies of inspiration to the masses. Yes, you are here to be an inspiration, but they are so many and she is just one. And so she finds help along the way, gifting life and purpose to the animals and the plants, to the sunrises and the sunsets, and to all who help her. She adds beauty everywhere, enlisting and accepting help as a way to distribute these catalysts of joy to those who need it. Yes, as the star, this is what you've come to be. You have come to inspire others of how they too can know joy and light. So she knows that she cannot possibly take it all by herself, each and every day. She knows the struggle intimately, the burden of carrying too many responsibilities, and she shares her message of being open to help. This is what these previous cards have said about creating alliances and creating partnerships. She knows this struggle. Ask for help when you need it. Prioritize and simplify. Do not ask the impossible of your energy reserves or your time, as your vitality is essential to your well-being. Take the steady path of joy toward your final destination. You are so close. Unforced, I shoulder this weight alone. Unattended, I watch these gardens unshown. Strapped, I wander the maybes unbeen. Impossibly burdened, I struggle unseen. Determined, a coming success, my road. Acceptance, a boundary of love, unload. So yes, you are being told that you are here to be the star, to inspire others. But as you are on this journey of inspiration, it is important to be part of a collective, to realize that you are not alone. Imagine if every human being decided that we as one, if every single human being decided that we were going to do whatever was necessary individually to break down the system by simply saying we will no longer be an altar for the darkness, for the devil to reign through and to do all his nonsensical shit that he has come here to do. Because the devil is energetic, just like God is energetic. We here on this physical plane, these things cannot occur on these physical plane unless we, the physical human beings, allow it to happen. Imagine if we all just said we will no longer comply to the things that the devil does. The world would shift instantaneously. But we have to remember, even if we are one, we hold power in our oneness. So the next card we have is Show the World the Real You, Full Moon in Aquarius. I think this card is pretty self-explanatory in telling you that the energy of this full moon is about no longer hiding who you are and hiding who you are at a soul level. Because remember, each and every one of us came here on the same mission, in that we came here to manifest our higher self in human form. It is for our soul to come through in this physical vessel, because remember, you are a being of pure light and pure divinity. But as we incarnate on this planet, we forget, we go through amnesia. And so it is not about anything other than remembering who you truly are and not allowing all the nonsensical shit that people have told you along the way to diminish your light and to make you think that you are less than, because you know who you are. And do not be fearful of sharing that with the world, because that is why you are here. You hold something beautiful in who you are. And that is why the universe wanted you to incarnate at this time, is so that you could share that beautiful energy. We are all unique and divine, and each and every one of us have spiritual gifts. And this is why we are here. It is so that we can actually manifest these spiritual gifts in this physical reality. They talk about bringing heaven onto earth. And that is how we bring heaven onto earth, by us literally embodying our soul self, our higher self, in this physical reality. The next card we have is A New Romantic Cycle Begins. New moon in Libra. Yes, this is all about justice. This is all about partnerships. Can you balance out the partnerships in which you are so that you can find peace and harmony? At the end of the day, yes, we are individuals, but we are always interacting with other human beings. We are always interacting with others. And the more that we can bring harmony within ourselves, the more that we will experience harmony with all those that we interact and connect with. So the next card we have is Shapeshifter. Transform and unveil your gifts. Yes, beautiful beings, you hold many faces. Allow these different faces to come through, because remember, we are all multidimensional beings. We are not simple. We have multiple facets. We are multidimensional in that we exist in many different dimensions, and in each of these different dimensions you are a different being. In each dimension you hold different gifts. You hold different abilities, but the only way you will be able to unveil these gifts is to know yourself, is to transform and to go inwards and question what has been holding you back from connecting with these gifts, to unveiling these gifts, to sharing these gifts with humanity, because that is what you are here for. The next card we have is Lady. Enjoy growth and reap rewards. Yes, it is time for you to grow, and as you continue to grow, those of us who have been since 2020, to me 2020 was judgment. 2020 was the time where people showed their true colors, because the way some people behaved in 2020 and 2021, we really saw who people really were. People really unveiled. And those people who answered the call at that time and comprehended that there was a time, that this was a time for serious growth, a time of serious transition, a time of serious transformation. And those of you who have been on that path, you are now reaping those rewards. And those of you who are only now just setting on that path, you too will reap the rewards. But if you don't put in the work, you don't get the results. So the next card we have is Stag. Trust and thrive. Yes, the stag is a deeply spiritual animal, a deeply strong animal. And here, if you see in the background, we have the Triskelion, which is, you know, it's a magical symbol, and it is about, you know, the power of three. You know, they talk about the sun. I don't know what they talk about, but the sun, the moon, and the Holy Spirit. No, Father, Mother, and Holy Spirit. You know, when we look at ancient Egypt and we look at the Ankh represented Mother, Father, and Child. Divine Father, beloved Mother Earth, and Child. When we work with the three-part being, we build strength, and that is what we are being asked. We are being asked to trust the power of Father Sky. We are being asked to trust the nurturing of Mother Earth, so that we too, as their children, may thrive and know strength and know freedom. Because is this not what we are all yearning for? Because really, when I look at the world, we have been deceived into believing that we have freedom, but there is no freedom here. But we are at a change. We are at a point of change and transition where we are being given the opportunity to bring freedom in. And the only way to bring freedom in is to not build a cage around ourselves, to not allow somebody else's power to build a cage around ourselves, to not allow someone else to say, you do not have freedom, because we all have freedom. But freedom starts with first giving ourselves freedom, giving ourselves the freedom to be who we truly are. The next card we have is Drum, Dream, and Journey. Yes, as this full moon comes up, let the energy, let the light of this full moon shed light upon your dreams and question, are you moving towards your dream? Are you moving towards the beat of somebody else's drum, or are you moving to your own beat? Are you playing your own drum, or are you letting somebody else play your drum? Because this is how we end up waking up one day and realize, oh, I've totally missed out on my life. I totally didn't do any of the things that I set out to do with my life. Well, now is your chance, because it is never too late. No matter how old you are, there is always an opportunity to change things. There is always an opportunity to go after our dreams. The next card we have is Direction Guardian. Choose your path. Whose path have you been walking down? Have you been following somebody else's path, or have you been moving down the path that you have set for yourself? You have to really question, what do you desire for your life? What do you want to experience in your life? And are your actions, are your choices taking you in that direction, or are they taking you in some other direction where you're going to wake up in a few years' time and be like, oh, where have I been? I've been asleep. because you have been letting somebody else drive your car. The next card we have is the Holy Grail. Stop the endless searching. Inner quest. Yes, everyone who is feeling lost and confused and unhappy and depressed, it is because you are being asked to go inwards. You are the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is within us. The reason why things have been, the best place to hide something is in us, because no one will think to look inwards. Why do you think society is constantly making you look outwards, making you think that you don't have power, that you couldn't possibly know anything? Slowly, they have been eroding our spiritual gifts, because all of us have the ability of clairaudience, clairsentience, all of the different clairs, where we all have heightened senses. This is just the natural state of being of humans. But over time, society has made us believe that we need, books to tell us everything, and we need the news to tell us everything, and we need the government to tell us what is and isn't safe for us to put inside our bodies. What utter nonsense. We have been taught to constantly look outwards, thinking that we couldn't possibly know what works for us. How can a government tell us what to do with our bodies? What utter nonsense. It is like we are being treated like school children, thinking that we don't possibly know what is needed, thinking that we don't have the ability to decide what is right and wrong. No. What is currently going on at this time is that the meaning of government and governance has completely shifted, because remember, it is we the people that hold the governments accountable, that we the people elect the governments so that we can hold them accountable and they can do our bidding, not the other way around. When did everything suddenly turn around? But the thing is, we accept and we allow, because our power has been taken away from us. So it is about allowing the rose that is you to unfold. Allow yourself to bloom like a flower and let the world see the beauty of the flower that you are, because you are a spectacular flower. Some of you are roses, some of you are daffodils, some of you are lilies, some of you are carnations, all the different flowers. But unless you allow yourself to unfold and bloom, no one will know what kind of flower that you are, and no one will know what beautiful scent you have to offer and the beautiful colors that you have to offer, because people will think that the flowers are just flowers. But flowers heal in such deeper ways than we realize, because remember, everything is frequency. And so just like when we are in low frequency, we allow the frequencies of the devil to control us. But when we are in high frequencies, we allow the power of the stars and the power of the universe to control us. So what kind of flower are you? Are you a dead, rotting flower? Or are you a flower that is blooming so that beautiful energies and frequencies may enter your life? The next card we have is Morning Dew. Clarity, a fresh start, a positive outlook. Yes, all these changes and transitions that are happening at this time, it is bringing something positive. But if we are in fear, sometimes, most of us human beings, we get stuck in our comfort zone. And so sometimes we need something to push us out of our comfort zone. Otherwise, we get stuck. And as humanity, as one large collective, we have been stuck in the mud. We have been stuck in the energies of the devil. And we are being asked, we are being shown that pressure, diamonds are formed under pressure. And so we too, a lot of pressure is being put on humanity right now so that we may emerge as diamonds. Because right now, humanity is not a diamond. Right now, I don't know where the hell humanity is, but it's not looking good. And people need to start to realize that we all need to bring clarity into our lives and realize that all this pressure that we are under is so that we can move. We have all been stuck and stagnant in this horrible, dense energy, and we are being gifted an opportunity to clear this energy. And just like when a car gets stuck in the mud, we need a bigger car to come and pull us out. And that is what Spirit is doing at this time. Spirit has come to pull us out of the mud. But when we pull ourselves out of the mud, it's not gentle. It's not soft and pretty. Sometimes these things get ugly, and sometimes these things are uncomfortable. But when we let go, we are the ones who make it difficult by holding on strong. But if we just let go and allow ourselves to be pulled, as opposed to being heavy in the mud and not wanting to be pulled out, making it more difficult for us to be pulled out, then it becomes more difficult. But if we just say, okay, I'm going to surrender, and I'm going to allow the universe and spirit to take me out of this stuckness, of this mud, of this denseness that I have been stuck in, so that finally we can shift and we can move into something new. And last but not least, we have Lineage of the Rose, moved by the goddess. Here for this soul call, gather. Yes, we are now being pushed by the goddess energy. We are no longer allowing the energies of the masculine devil to take control of this world. Remember, it is Mother Earth. This earth is feminine. And this is why there has been an attack on the feminine for so long. It is so that we forget the connections with our divine mother, the earth. It is so that we forget the connections with goddess. It is so that we forget the connections that we hold with all these feminine principles that exist within both men and women. And why do you think all this transgender stuff has been pushed? Because it is an agenda. People have come for me in the past for saying these things, but it is an agenda. And not that I'm saying that I have anything against anyone who is an LGBT whatever, but it is an agenda to bring in something that is deeply, deeply dark. And I suggest that you go and do your own research, because it is not difficult to find. If people still do not want to believe that this is an agenda, but this is an attack on the feminine. You know, if we look now today in so many of the sports world, how many men are competing as women? This is again taking away the role of the feminine in society. The fact that a few years ago women, you know, in America, they were taking away the name of women but calling them birthing people. And now they go on to say that men can have periods also. What utter nonsense. And then people will say, oh, it's because I identify as a female. I'm sorry, if I said that I identified as a chair, people would think that I'm crazy. So why is it that now we entertain this madness, and yet those of us who don't accept it, we're the ones who are told, you know, we're being cancelled? I'm sorry, but this is just nonsense. We have to get out of this herd, hive, nonsensical sheep mentality and realize that what is happening is deeply, deeply being controlled by the powers of the devil. And people need to start realizing, no matter what faith that you are part of, the devil exists. The devil exists and manifests in the physical every single day, but only because we allow it to. So you need to start questioning in your life, what changes do you need to make here so that you are operating on the side of the star and not on the side of the devil? Because this is what is happening now. Humanity is going through a purging where we are being shown on the global stage who is an agent of the devil and who is an agent of the angels and the universe and the Most High Creator. So I hope that these messages have been helpful for you. I wish you all the luck on your journey. I wish you love and strength, and I ask that you please share and like this video if it resonated for you, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye for now.